Good morning. This is the Passion Anime at the Cosmic Consciousness Salon. Today is a must-see for salon owners. I would like to discuss just one phrase that takes empathy to the extreme. To put it simply, imagine you are running a salon for promotions. If a customer expresses a desire to lose weight but ends up eating at night, you would respond with, "I see, you feel like eating, right?" That is empathy. Understanding your feelings is empathy. And there are different levels of empathy. Superficial empathy is like, I understand, you feel like eating, right? That is very superficial. The salon owner, well, that person is beyond that. But there is also deep empathy in the church, delving into the reasons behind someone's eating habits, right? When did it start? Digging deep like that and delving into those deep-seated worries, understanding and empathizing with that empathy, delving deep into that empathy, empathizing by delving deep into the bureaucrat's concerns, That becomes a high level of empathy in itself. Today, we're talking about a completely different level of empathy. If you ask if there's a story about empathy today, there are two types of empathy, as I just mentioned. You end up having dinner, right? It's called empathy towards others. Empathy towards others. You might have thought, isn't empathy towards others about empathizing with others? But in fact, besides empathy towards others, there's another one. That is self-empathy. Have you heard of self-empathy? It means empathizing with yourself. For example, let's say you have a friend named Keiko. Keiko comes to you and says she's struggling with whether to break up with her boyfriend and comes to seek advice. Then Keiko comes to you and explains like this. I was considering ending it, but then I asked myself, what should I do? And when I said those words, thinking about ending it, they held different meanings, didn't they? For example, I was thinking about what to do if Keiko decides to break up. When you say the whole text, it's what you're thinking in your head. If Keiko were to say the whole text, she might mention having a boyfriend whom she loves. They get along well at times, but he occasionally cheats and even acts superior, which makes her not like him much at times. She's debating whether it's better to break up or not, but which is the right choice? That's the whole thing. But people don't usually say such things out loud. So, to put it in a nutshell, that's what I'm saying, and that's the epitome of brevity. Not verbalizing it. When I say not verbalizing it, I mean not expressing the person's emotions or the reasons why they think that way. For instance, if it's the prevailing pattern, you should say something along these lines. What did you enjoy about it and what didn't you like? Fairly typical, right? It's fairly typical, but when you inquire about this, Keiko will respond. Well, there were also moments of kindness. There are occasions when we have a good rapport, we have our ups and downs, but overall, we get along well. In situations like this, when something unpleasant happens, Keiko expresses her feelings by saying, I feel bad about this. She expresses her thoughts and emotions. Then you respond with, oh, I see, that's how it is. By doing this, Keiko achieves her goal of consulting with you. Do you understand why? Because when discussing worries, it's not about seeking answers from the other person, but about seeking understanding and empathy. I want you to listen to me. That's why I'm saying this. Keiko says, I have parts that I like, but I also have parts that I don't like. She wants to express this in detail when she says that. If you ask what is happening, it is self-empathy that is occurring. It is called self-reinforcement. Well, when you are discussing your worries, it is something you normally do, but without self-reinforcement. When Keiko tells you that she is thinking about whether to break up with you, and you say, if you want to end the relationship. It is quite straightforward, is it not? Keiko says, that is how it was, right? And then she leaves you, repeating the same thing to other friends until they empathize. I want you to understand this. Please understand this. People who cannot empathize with themselves keep moving from one person to another until they find someone who can empathize with them. Meeting someone who can provide self-empathy is the strongest thing you can do in a salon. Why? Because if you can empower your clients, they will think, oh, this person is listening to me, and your trust will soar. This is why developing the ability to empathize is crucial for effective communication and building meaningful connections. In the current example, when you told Keiko you're thinking of breaking up and the other person responds with, yeah, maybe breaking up would be better, that's empathy, right? It's different. When you ask, what do you like about him? What don't you like? And Keiko says, I like this, I don't like that. Discussing the pros and cons, agreeing and disagreeing, that's where the real empathy lies. By acknowledging what she likes and dislikes, Keiko starts to evaluate herself more. I have happy moments and sad moments. There are times when I like him and times when I don't. Understanding more. Megumi's heart is fulfilled. Your friendship with her is fulfilling. By coming here, she believes that you will listen to her and understand her, deepening your friendship. There is a way to do this with customers. I will talk about it now. So, I will now talk about the one and only phrase that will empower customers who come to the salon. Please listen carefully. Please listen carefully. For example, let's say the topic of the sending salon came up first, and let's say you were running the sending salon. When a customer comes, all you need to say is this: why did you think you could lose weight at our store? That's it. Then the customer, well, on hot pepper, wrote that they were taking advantage of this opportunity, thought it was their first time, or heard from a friend who lost weight with this, and gives reasons. So, what you're saying is not just one thing. Oh, I see. That's certainly true. This completes self-empathy. The customers speak for themselves. They speak for themselves. For instance, assuming weight loss at your store. This doesn't reinforce self-empowerment. Typically, when someone comes, you explain the store policy. You say, at our store, you will lose weight using this method, and this method. How do you think the customer feels? They think, I already know that, and they call it a hot paper bee. It's totally different, right? Customers validate everything they say themselves because they explicitly stated it themselves and you unequivocally validated it. At that precise moment, they feel deeply understood and the level of trust between you instantaneously intensifies. It is a form of self-affirmation, representing the utmost potent self-empowerment phrase. If you found today's video to be beneficial, kindly consider liking, subscribing, and let us continue with unwavering enthusiasm. Alright then, until we meet again in the future, take care and farewell.